is a great first Sales Hacker webinar for us, and who better to kick it off than Kyle Porter, the CEO of SalesLoft. Say hello to everyone, Kyle.
Hey everybody, hope you're all having a great day today. Excited about this meeting today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. And what better topic than how to triple your sales qualified meetings from the CEO of a company who just grew their growth 2,000% in 2014. Also raised 10 million in venture capital from some really top-notch Silicon Valley investors, and while being based in Atlanta, which is another impressive feat. So we're really excited to hear from you today, and really I'm a big fan of SalesLoft. I know a lot of the people who follow Sales Hacker are big fans of SalesLoft as well. Everything that you guys are doing for sales development, really, which is a budding new kind of area of sales, which has been around for a while, but it's really being changed by companies like SalesLoft. And so excited to have you on, and I'm going to let you kick it off. We're going to do about probably 25 minutes of presentation from Kyle, and then open it up to some Q&A for the attendees, and hoping for a great show for you today on our first of many Sales Hacker webinars. So passing it to you, Kyle. Take it away.
All right, well, Max, thanks so much for having me, man. I absolutely love what you're doing with the Sales Hacker community. This community is so strong, and for everybody out there listening, kudos to you for the passion and energy and enthusiasm you have for this space. This is just an honor to present to you all today, and many of the things that I'm going to be presenting, I've learned from you. So we're real excited. I'll give a quick bio on myself for those of you who don't know me. I am the CEO and founder of SalesLoft, and I am a lover of sales. Back to when I was a kid, and I used to go to the flea market and get used G.I. Joes and He-Man figures and sell them to the kids in the neighborhood, and it's never stopped since then. I write a lot and contribute a lot to the sales world. I was a top blogger for Salesforce.com. I published over 200 articles, and I started a company with the name Sales in it. So really true to the passion of sales, and we've had some great growth, and just real excited to share with you all, kind of how we got to where we are today and the lessons we've learned from the community. So one of the things I like to do before diving into all the business is just share a personal note about myself, kind of a fun fact. I am also a tangerine farmer. So in addition to being the CEO of SalesLoft, on the weekends I'm down at my home in Central Florida, and my wife and I are tangerine farmers. So there's a little snapshot of some of the early trees in our grove. But let's get on to it. So we're talking about growth, we're talking about sales development, and I think the big thing for us is we've been living it, and we've had a lot of success with it. We've tried a lot of different things, and we experienced 2,000% growth in 2014, from $200,000 in recurring revenue to ending the year over $4 million in recurring revenue. What you'll notice from this presentation, you'll see a little link there, sal.es/scaling SaaS, and we'll have a bunch of these links throughout the webinar. These links will take you to specific articles on the web that will go into more detail about the things we're discussing. So Max did mention the financing, and I wanted to mention it as well, not to share that we've raised money, but because of why we raised the money, and it's all about sales development. Emergence Capital, one of, if not the top venture-backed or venture firm for enterprise SaaS companies. They invested in Salesforce.com, Yammer, SuccessFactors, Viva, Box. Some of the great enterprise SaaS stories have come through Emergence Capital, and the reason they invested in SalesLoft is because of our fundamental belief in the power of the sales development team and the power of the sales development movement. And so that's why I put this slide in here, to show you that you're doing something amazing. This is the forefront of a brand new generation of business, and this focus and function of sales development, the specialization role in sales, is really the biggest innovation to happen to our sales processes in the last decade. So kudos to you for being part of this movement. And you can't talk about sales development without talking about number of qualified appointments. So this is a graph of the SalesLoft demos completed. This is a cumulative graph going back to January of 2014. The blue line is total demos, and with the red line, that's new demos in the month. And what you'll see is this thing's up and to the right. And it's up and to the right because of all the things we're going to talk to you about today. But my favorite thing about demos completed or appointments completed, if that's the game you're in, is that they translate directly to revenue. So this is our MRR growth, and if you'll see, these charts are just right in line. And so if you want to grow revenue, grow the amount of qualified appointments you set up. And so that's what we're going to talk to you all today about. So we got 7 tips on how to really step on the gas from a sales development perspective, and the goal is getting those qualified appointments. If you're selling software, that goal is oftentimes a consultation along with the demo, but what it means is taking strangers, even people that sometimes come inbound. You've got inbound sales development, you've got outbound sales development. We're going to talk about taking those people, first names, last names, company names, and email addresses, and turning them into booked and completed demos for your account executive team. Cool. So number 1, the most important piece of sales development is to put it on a pedestal. I'm talking about prioritizing sales development like you've never done before. For so long, the sales development team was seen as the junior element of sales, or the weaker piece of the business, the area where you just bring in folks kind of right off the street, give them a shot, see if they sink or swim. But that no longer works. We've entered an era where the sales development reps require and need the level of focus, support, attention, and priority that all the other departments need, if not more. This is the front end of your sales organization. And so here's a couple things that we've seen out in the marketplace of how other companies are doing this. There's a guy named Chris Paulett in the Sales Hacker community. Hopefully he's joining us here today. He works for a company called Showpad. And one of the things that he's done is he's organized to how the sales development team can report directly to the CEO. So no longer the VP of marketing, no longer the VP of sales. Chris is reporting to the CEO, and we do that at SalesLoft as well. When Sean Kester, the guy on the left in this picture, joined SalesLoft, we said he's not going to report to the sales VP, he's not going to report to the marketing, he's going to report to me. And I'm going to have marketing report to me because they've got a special function. I'm going to have account executives or closers report to me because they've got a special function. And we're going to have sales development report to me because they have a special function. Other ways you can do this is at our office we have kind of 7 areas of our office suite. One of the nicest areas of the suite is dedicated to the sales development team. When we go on happy hours, when we go on events, when we go go to lake parties, whatever we do as a team, we're always putting the sales development team on a pedestal, and we're prioritizing them within the organization so that they feel and understand how well they're respected, how well they're needed, and how important they are to the revenue function of the business. So you can do this. Start thinking about how do you get more visibility with your CEO. Read the books, read the articles, present it to your team in a way where they see it as a strategic way to meet their goals and to accomplish their objectives. And hopefully graphs and charts like the ones I just showed you, and hopefully the things that are being put on Sales Hacker will help educate you so that you can have the rest of your team prioritize sales development. It's absolutely vital. Cool. So the second one is we're inspiring this team towards a vision and with a set of core values and culture. Here's how it works. In the sales development organization, many times you have a millennial youth that's part of these teams. And what we look for is hiring amazing folks from all different walks of life with very unique backgrounds, skill sets, cool things they're doing outside of the office. But when they come to SalesLoft, they're all aligned to the same vision. And that vision is creating $1 billion Atlanta company. Now, your vision can be different. It better be different unless you're in Atlanta, but you need a vision that your whole team can align on. These unique and great people from all these walks of life come together with a shared vision to go attack this single focused thing. And so we want to create $1 billion company, but we don't want to just create $1 billion company to get to the money. We want to create it because creating $1 billion company gives us a vehicle to make change in the world. It allows us to change the lives of our employees. It allows us to change the fabric of our city and our ecosystem. It allows us to change the industry we play in, and it's the same thing for you. By prioritizing sales development, by giving them a vision, and by giving them a set of core values and fundamental beliefs, you're going to be able to accomplish your mission and drive the success of what you want to do. And so get everybody on board with that. We do it through a number of different ways. We have a set of core values: positive, supportive, self-starting. The employees are hearing those words at least 15 times before they even join the company. They're seeing it in the daily stand-ups. They're seeing it in the weekend updates. They're seeing it on the one-page strategic plan. And you can learn more about all these things we're doing to instill these core fundamentals with the team with the link at the bottom of the screen, SALES/what, why, how. So hopefully that'll help out with you. And this is one of those kind of fluffy type statements, but I can't stress how important it is to have a alignment with your values. And the one thing that it allows you to do, once you have core values, once you have vision, you can use that in order to decide who you're hiring. So vision and values, those are the chart that you measure your new staff off of when you're recruiting. And so we're going to want to talk a little bit about hiring and how to get the best sales development reps in. And I'm going to go through these functions here. And I've taken these from a book by Lou Adler named Hire with Your Head. That's the name of the book. He writes some amazing posts on LinkedIn, but this is one of the greatest recruiters in the game, and he shares all his tips, and we've taken some out, and I've been using them for the last really 10 years of my career, going back to when I was a recruiter. The first one is, we're not creating job descriptions, we're creating performance profiles. A job description tells you what you need to do or what you need to have already accomplished. We tell you what you need to do in order to be successful. So by week 3, we want to see you making 30 cold calls a day. By week 1, we want to see you communicating the vision, the values, the what, the why, and the how to the team. By month 2, we want to see you hit your first quota, right? And so all these things are drafted into the performance profile so that when someone's hired and when someone's coming through the hiring process, we're able to measure whether or not they'll fit to that. So we recommend performance profiles versus job descriptions. And now sourcing strategies. Let's talk about where you find sales development reps. They're not an easy breed to find. We love folks who have been in the recruiting industry. We love folks who have been in financial services, grinding away, selling insurance vehicles, selling financial vehicles. We're looking for folks who can punch above their weight class and who have been in roles where they might have gotten told no a lot of times, because as a sales development rep, you got to shrug that off your shoulders, and these are the type of people we want experience with. One thing that I've recently read that we've taken to heart, we never ever hire a sales development rep unless we could possibly envision them one day being the GM of a particular department of our company. Think about that for a minute. A lot of times folks in SDR say, hey, this is a junior role, this is an entry-level role. If they don't work out, we'll let them go. That's the wrong way to approach it. Spend some time to find the right people that you believe in, absolutely, because there's nothing worse than having an organization where you're moving people in and out, and sales development is very prone to that, so we're looking to change that. Let's talk a little bit about the one-question interview. When I bring someone on board for an interview, I'm asking them this one question every single time. I've been using this question for the last 8 years in the businesses that I've been a part of, and it's served me well every single time. Now, it's not just a question it's not just a singular question that can that goes stale. It can be used in a number of different ways. Here is the question. What is the most significant accomplishment at the last job you had? You could also say it in a way, what is the most significant accomplishment of your career? What is the most significant accomplishment in college? And what this does, it gets people to dig down deep and talk about what really matters to them. And then you get hundreds of questions that can stem off from that. Okay, what was the team like you worked with? Who was the manager? How did you work with them? When did you run into trouble? What problems did you face? This will allow you to identify so many different things that person's done and that person cares about. So we recommend the one-question interview to find great sales development reps that will help you expand your qualified demos, therefore expanding your revenue. Job stretch is next. What I mean by job stretch is not just being paid more. Job stretch is all about learning more, doing more, becoming more. Right? This is what it's all about when you join a startup, when you join a great company, when you get into sales development. You want to take your career to the next level. And so we're showing our candidates the opportunity. We're identifying all the things they've done, all the things they're doing now, and we're showing them the opportunity to learn more, do more, and become more. And that's what job stretch is all about. And then you got to close them, just like in sales. especially in this economy where sales development reps are so widely sought after. There's such high demand. When you find the right one, you've got to close them, and there's a couple of tactics here. For one, if they're working somewhere else, you've got to worry about the counteroffer. The counteroffer is the most deadly thing in recruiting because you've gotten all the way to the end, you've made the offer, they've accepted, then they go in to resign and their boss says, what will it take to keep you here? And you've got to avoid that. The way to do it is to head it off at the start. So before we extend an offer, I ask the candidate, I say, are you interested in joining SalesLoft? Are you interested? Here are the details of the compensation plan. Here's what you'll be doing. Here's what you'll be learning and becoming. Here's the game plan. Are you in? And if they say yes, then I say, okay, how do you plan on resigning? What are you going to say when your boss comes to you with a counteroffer? And I won't extend a formal offer unless the candidate has said, I will not accept a counteroffer because I understand what that means. And so you've got to get that, what we also recommend is don't ever send the offer until you have all the details formalized. So maybe it's through email or maybe it's over the phone, but I'm going to work with the candidate, make sure they check the box on everything that they're going to get, and they tell me yes, so that when I send that offer letter over, it's just a mere formality to get the signature. In this economy, you can't risk not being able to close the great candidates that are coming across the table. All right, let's jump from recruiting straight into how you pay them. You talk to any great sales executives around the world, and they'll tell you that reps do not what their bosses say, but what their comp plan says. And I learned this one the hard way. First-time software CEO, and I thought everybody was gung-ho after the team first, and we're gonna tackle it all together. But salespeople want to make money. That's why they got into the business. And so they're going to follow what the comp plan is, and we've learned some great lessons about comp. The first one is that you want to give people an opportunity to grow. So our sales development organization, you can see this link, sal.es/comp model. That's going to show you the different tiers of sales development reps that we have inside of our organization and that we recommend to others. We've actually learned this from many of our customers and many of the companies in the community. Hopefully some of those are joining us today. But give your reps an opportunity to knock out some milestones and take their career to the next level. So have a bunch of tiers in that. We've got captains, we've got sales development executives, we've got senior folks, all those represented in the comp model. Now, it's not just about money. People want to be rewarded. They want to have fun. And so we do some really cool things at SalesLoft. We've got the WWE wrestling belt for whoever wins the call blitzes. We've got our bi-weekly happy hours scheduled. Heck, we even went down to the fully automatic gun range and threw a couple of our competitors' T-shirts up on the wall. I'm not going to name names here. Threw a couple of competitors' T-shirts up on the wall and let our SDRs open up fully automatic machine guns on those targets. So we're having a lot of fun with this team. And our team loves to go out and have a good time so they can come back in and work hard. So we're doing a lot of things like that. Now, in terms of other areas of the compensation, you want to understand within your organization of whether you're comping for just completed qualified demos, whether you're comping for some contribution to the pipeline, whether you're comping for whether or not deals close. And you just need to measure all those things out and see if they make sense. We only comp today on qualified demos completed, but I'll tell you why. The reason is that we've been able to maintain a great ratio of qualified demos completed to deals done. Now, if that ratio ever changed, we may change that. And I think down the road, we'll probably have contribution to pipeline, whether deals close or not, as part of the SDR model. And the last thing is there's no scenario on any good SDR comp plan where you're capping out a rep. You don't ever want to have caps. In fact, you'd love to have accelerators. You don't ever want to have a situation where they say, I could complete these 2 demos this month, or I could wait till next month to game the comp plan. You want it to always be to where you get the best stuff up front from your reps because they're making more money. So those are some suggestions about comp and the SDR model, and you can see some of the things on the web that we've done, and I'll be open to answer any questions in the Q&A. Moving on to the next one. This is so vital, especially with junior folks that don't have a lot of professional experience. You're going to be putting them in a room with a headset where they're getting shut down by people left and right. We want every single rep to have easy wins to get started. So as a CEO, I get a lot of leads from friends, leads from customers, leads from authors and bloggers. And what I'm doing with those leads is I'm forwarding in the brand new reps so that they can help set up that demo. And they're not working hard to do it, but they're going through the process. They're seeing how it works. These people are already interested in a demo, but it helps them get these easy wins under their belt, which gives them tons of confidence. And I'll gladly trade the comp for a couple of free demos for the confidence gained from a brand new rep who comes in on day one and gets to set their first set their first appointment. So it's very, very important. The other things we're doing is we're handing them a playbook. Day one, we're saying, hey, the last 14 sales development reps that have come through SalesLoft have been refining this playbook. Now, we're not saying that this is the absolute best way to do things, but we're saying that if you pick up the playbook and you follow it, you're going to have success. But what we also want is we want you to tweak it. We want you to use it for a couple weeks, and then we want you to find areas that can be improved. Come back to us with suggestions. Keep being creative. Keep trying new things, and share that with the rest of your team, with your leaders. Then obviously the onboarding, we're making it super simple. We've got day one when they come in, we actually are doing them in flights. So every other Monday we have employees starting with our company. And when they start, we have a whole day planned out for them. I'm the 9:15 meeting. I talk about the vision of SalesLoft, the values, the goals, where we're going, why we're going there, right? I walk through all those things, and then Tammy comes in and shares how marketing's doing. And then the account executive lead comes in and tells what they're doing. And so we're getting people indoctrinated into this company from day one, and we're very intentional about it. Now, when we first started off, we were kind of running wild. It was the old West here, and new reps would come in, and you never kind of knew what was going to happen. And I realized that's not the way to do things, because we want them to understand why they're here. We want them to get early success. We want them to feel like they're part of the family and feel like they've been around here for a long time. So now we're intentional about the onboarding. We recommend that you do the same. Lastly, make it easy for them to hit quota in the first month or two. Don't give them this big, expansive quota and sink or swim. Kind of lead into it. There's no harm done if you take a month, and let them kind of get some easy wins under their belt. Again, it just helps build confidence. These people are coming into an environment where folks have been selling and talking to customers every single day, and they're not going to be as comfortable and as good at it as you and your team are today. So I can't stress enough how important it is to have empathy for the team members and really help them get started on a good note. Now, the ones that would hunt and swim anyways, they're going to do that much better. And the ones that would take a couple weeks to get ready, they're not going to fall off the business like they would if you kind of made them sink or swim. Cool. All right. So next slide. This one's so important. Running an SDR team is day-to-day, hourly, hand-to-hand combat. You can sit up with the SDR team on Monday morning at 8 a.m. and have your weekly meeting, but you better be in the trenches all week long, helping them, guiding them, coaching them, mentoring them. And I'm not just talking about sales development stuff. A real true coach and leader is guiding them through life, right? When we built this company, we wanted to build this company to change people's lives, to help them accomplish their goals, their dreams, the things that they thought they could never do, or the things that they always wanted to do and hadn't done yet. And that's your job as a coach and mentor. That's your job if you're the director, if you're the team lead. Heck, that's your job if you're new and you want an amazing career in this space. And so we are religious about our one-on-ones. Our sales development director now is Margaret Winiger, who came to us from San Diego. She's fantastic. And one of the most special things about Margaret is she just knows her people inside and out. And all day on Tuesday and Thursday, she's doing one-on-ones with the team. She's got one-on-ones with metrics, so she's going through quantitative, and she's going through the qualitative pieces as well. And you better believe she's talking to them about things outside of just work, about their lives, about the things they're going through, about the challenges they're faced with, and having a transparent and open relationship with them so that nothing goes unsaid and there's no worries to bring information out into the light. We do fun things. Earlier this week, for about an hour, we had the entire SDR team come down and do lunch with me. I sat on a bar stool and I told them all about the fundraising process of when we raised $10 million from Emergence Capital a month and a half ago. And it was a lunch and learn. It was there to kind of get them more indoctrinated with the business, show them the things we had done, tell them the story in a unique and new way so that they can turn around and tell that story to others. Cool. Many of you on this call will have heard of a company called Rivalry. This is an amazing business. It's sales, coaching, and accountability software. We use this software for two things. One, it's simply the leaderboards for our organization for the productivity of our sales development reps. But the big one is this is the platform that Margaret uses in order to coach the team and catch up with the things that matter to them from a qualitative and quantitative perspective. Another great tool here is called 15.5. What these tools are doing is they're enabling the coach a platform that they can execute on to keep their team accountable and keep themselves accountable to being great coaches. Then we do cool offsite stuff. Mentioned it earlier. You want to do leadership building exercises. You want to do trust building exercises. We believe in the five in the book from Patrick Lencioni and the 5 functions of a team. If you haven't heard of this, you should read it. It's a real easy book to read. And the functions are this. Number 1 is trust. We're vulnerable inside of our organization. We share the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that lets us break down our guard so we can trust one another. And when we trust one another, it means that we can have unfiltered dialogue. It means that we can challenge each other. It means that we can say the things that are on the tip of our tongue without worrying about offending the other person. And when we have unfiltered dialogue, we come to decisions. And when we come to decisions, we can hold each other accountable. And when we have an environment of trust, communication, decisions, and accountability, then we build a culture of getting shit done. And so that's what we're doing inside this team. That's what we're doing while we're coaching, monitoring, and mentoring. This is what we're doing to build up the sales development team to be a team, a powerhouse team of leaders in the community. Cool. All right. So we haven't talked much about process. We haven't talked much about actually going to work. This team is here to do something. They're here to set up qualified appointments. And the best way to do that is to get people and communicate with them. And so we recommend following a real-time rhythm and cadence in your process for outreach. So this means from the very beginning, it means finding a reliable data source and collecting that data on a routine basis, not going out and buying a list of 2,000 people and trying to work them for the next 6 months. I'm talking about finding lists for this month, for this week, sometimes even this day, because just like agile software, things are going to change. So we're recommending agile prospecting here. Find the right people, create a rhythm and a routine to how your team collects those people, and then communicate to them with a process. Different processes work for different companies. Some require more phone calls, some require more emails, some require more social touches. What we've done is we've enacted a 7x7 process where we're opening up with an email template, we're following up with a phone call, and we're conducting a series of phone messages, email messages, and even social messages over a period of time. The most important thing is to have an application that allows you to set up that cadence, execute on that cadence, use data to improve that cadence, and stay accountable for your team. So this is really, really big. Now, what I think people aren't doing right in this scenario is they're going overly automated. The reason sales development software and sales development process has taken off is because buyers demand more than marketing automation can provide. Buyers demand more personalization, more sincerity than a spam blast can provide. And so you cannot use your sales development software like you would a spam blast email cannon. You have to personalize. You have to customize. You have to find things about those folks and bring sincerity into the mix. And so when you're looking for the tools that will help you execute in sales development, make sure you find ones that will help you personalize and not just be another robot sending an email. Because as a buyer, I know I'm the CEO and I get a lot of emails. If that email is sent from a robot, I'm hitting E. But if it's sent from a system that's tied into your actual email account that allows you to customize and be personal, that doesn't have to have canned spam compliance and unsubscribe links and transactional server traces that the marketing automation and email marketing tools have, when you can send an email that's real and one-to-one, you're going to get a lot better response rate. And when you attach into that a real phone calling system, and I'm not talking about ad hoc, pick up your cell phone and plug a bunch of numbers in. I'm talking about put your headset on, click a button, and knock down a list. record phone call or record voicemails, and so that you can click and drop those voicemails. Record the conversations, saving them into your CRM. Auto update the CRM. Everybody knows it takes 13 clicks to send an email and log a voicemail in a popular CRM system like Salesforce.com. Don't let yourself have to do all that. Use a system to get you there. All right, so these are the 7 tactics that are going to help you to take your game to the next level. To go back through them from the top, we talked about prioritizing sales development. We talked about giving them visibility all the way up to the C levels of your organization, showing them that they matter just as much as your engineers, just as much as your closers. They're no longer the sideshow of your organization. They're the main event. And 2 was to inspire them with vision, core values, your beliefs. Get them all on board the same mission with the same values. And number 3 was hire people to those values. Create a set of fundamentals that matter to you. Be intentional about hiring. Don't just throw resumes up on the wall because this is a junior role and you can replace them if they fail. That brings bad things to the organization. Number 4 was be creative in comp models, tiered matrices, lots of perks, no capping. Number 5 was make sure that people get success from day one. Give them easy wins, throw demos over the wall to them, give them a great playbook, give them an easy quota ramp, and onboard them intentionally. Number 5 was coach, monitor, mentor. This is hand-to-hand combat in the trenches, weekly one-on-ones, lunch and learns, team accountability software like Rivalry.com, offsite outings, that sort of thing. And then 7 was create a rhythm and cadence in your process. Create something that you can set up for your organization, execute on it, stay accountable, measure the results, and make sure you add personalization and customization to the way you go to work. So that is it for the main part of the presentation. We're going to open up for questions, and real excited that we're on time and here to answer the questions for you. So thanks everybody for listening in, and excited to share with you, the answers to the things you're looking for.
That was fantastic. We've had some great feedback, even in the question and answer area, about how awesome that was. So thanks a lot, Kyle. One of the things you mentioned at the New York Sales Hacker Conference, I think in 2014, that I really loved was kind of that giving the new reps that kind of layup, that nice like slow pitch softball that they can knock out of the park really early on to get those easy wins. I think that's so important, and it goes, it really just isn't talked about that often. When you hire a new sales rep, getting them on and really showing that they can do well really quickly, and getting them kind of excited about it right off the bat. So that was a great point. A lot of it fantastic. We have some questions here we'll get right into, and then even after this, you can continue asking questions, the attendees, on Twitter at hashtag #SHWebinar. But we'll get it started here. So Kyle, what are some of the best answers to the one question interview you've gotten?
They're all different things. I'm sitting in the room with Tammy McQueen, my director of marketing, and I asked her what her biggest accomplishment was before she got into the professional world, and she told me she moved from South Africa to come to the U.S. to play tennis for a college so that she could track down a professional career. And it was amazing to see the level of self-starting mentality in that, the passion, the enthusiasm. She wanted to make things happen from a very young age, and by asking that question, I was able to identify that. I tell you what you hear more often than not, unfortunately, Max, is you don't hear specific ones, and that's when you know you've got to move on to a new candidate. If I ask them, hey, what's the most significant accomplishment? They say real broad things and non-specific things, and I dig in and say, okay, well, I want to know specifically, what did you do? What were the results? And if they can't give it to me, then I know that I've got a dud and I need to move on, or I've got someone that's not a good fit for our organization. So a lot of times it's not what the best answers were, but what some of the wrong answers are.
Does it matter if it's competitive or not to you?
What matters is that they showcase our core values. So our core values, again, are positive, supportive, and self-starting. And so I'm looking to identify elements of those things inside of an interview. Now, one might say that self-starting goes hand in hand with competitive. And so if I hear someone that's got a competitive story and I feel like they went out of their way to make sure that they came out on top, as long as it's ethical and honest and not too self-focused, then yeah, of course, I love a competitive type person. I love coachable type people. I love transparent folks. There's a lot of things I love. We've just identified those 3 core values as our top core values, and that's what we're looking for with our interview questions.
Excellent. Moving on to the next question. What are your thoughts on a points-based comp system? Different point amounts for meetings with VPs, director, manager, for leads entering pipeline, closed deals, etc.
Yeah, this is a great question. This is something that I've explored a bit in the past, and quite frankly haven't figured out yet. We wanted to do something like this. We haven't gotten around to it. I think there's a big opportunity there. If you do like a matrix and you say there are 3 types of buyers, maybe entry level, mid level, and senior level, and then there's 3 types of companies, maybe small, medium, large, and then if you have a small person at a small company, it's a 1 point. If you have a small person at a medium company, it's a 2 point. Small person at a big company is a 3 point. And I think that there's a good opportunity. To do that sort of thing. Just haven't seen it done yet, in reality, and seen it be successful yet.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I haven't seen it done too much either, so I'm curious to see if anybody out there is doing it and wants to tweet into us. Would love to hear your feedback. Moving on to a few more questions while we have some time here. What are your thoughts on daily check-in meetings? This person's new to the position at their company. They currently do 15-minute meetings every day. Do you find it's more useful to have longer weekly meetings, or are the daily 15-minute meetings the best you can do?
Yeah, I'll tell you what we do, and I'll tell you my thoughts on why I like it. So for starters, we do daily stand-up meetings for 10 minutes each day. Now, the daily stand-ups are about getting any immediate tactical hurdles out of the way. So the team will get together, and it's pretty quick. It's, hey, what'd you do yesterday? What are you going to do today? And what roadblocks do you have? And we just hammer through it, power clap it out at the end, and the team kind of gets some energy going into the day. Now, that's the first type of meeting. Then we have a weekly meeting with the entire team where we go over the objectives, what are things are changing, what kind of new communications do they need to know, and their director is cascading that information to them. And then the one-on-ones, which are vital. So the one-on-ones are every single week, and those are scheduled throughout the week, mostly on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's where our director, Margaret, will go in and really dive into the person, all the things they're focused on, and help them overcome anything that they're challenged with. And so we like this method. It's been very successful for us, and think it's a great one. But obviously there's other ways to get things done, and I think the biggest thing is that you have something that you're intentional about, and that you start on time, end on time, every time, and you don't let things get in the way of that. If I've got, if Margaret has something, if I call Margaret and she's like, I'm in the middle of I'm going to our weekly meeting, I can't interrupt that. I'm not going to override that. I'm not going to call her out of that. I'm not going to change her one-on-ones. Those are very vital and very important, and having that orchestration about conducting those meetings is actually way more important than what exactly the meetings are.
Yeah, I think there's a great thread on this too in the Sales Hacker community on LinkedIn. So if you're not already on that as an attendee in this, definitely check that out, because there are some threads on some of these topics that might be useful to you to see how other people do things at their companies. Moving on, a couple more questions for you, Kyle. One unique thing about SalesLoft is that you guys have 2 products, Prospector and Cadence. What's been the biggest challenge with balancing 2 products, and how do you split up your troops accordingly?
Yeah, great question. We started SalesLoft Prospector in summer of 2013, and it took off. We really got adopted quickly, and we were excited to see how things were going. But the one recurring theme that we heard time and time again was, I want a way to message my contacts, my prospects. I need a way that's accountable, that's an easy process to follow, one that I can deploy to new team members, new recruits, that they can execute on and stay accountable for. And so that's why we created SalesLoft Cadence. And SalesLoft Cadence really is the platform of record for the sales development rep. And so what's going to happen is while they are 2 separate products today, eventually they will both be part of the same platform. And it might not even be called Prospector or Cadence, it might be called SalesLoft. And so we're building the application of record for the sales development team Internally with the team, we originally had split up our sales development reps, so some were calling on prospecting for Prospector and some were calling for Cadence, but now it's all combined. And so if you talk to any account executive expert at SalesLoft, they're going to walk you through either tool, whichever one's best for you. And same thing with SDRs. And so it's all just one company, two different functions, but looked at as one single platform to getting things done in sales development.
Cool. Next one. How do you advise building a sales team from the very beginning? We are a team of 7 and have no systems in place yet.
Yeah, so I'd have to ask some more questions to give the best advice. But I think if you're 7 people and nobody in sales yet, you got to start reading some books and reading some blogs and getting yourself comfortable with it, because I'll tell you what, until you can love and respect sales, it's going to be very hard for you to hire, train, coordinate, lead, and motivate salespeople. So if you're an engineer out there or you're a heavy engineering team, you've got to do things like be on this webinar right now. I'm glad you asked that question, but you've got to fall in love with sales. I've got 2 co-founders of my company that came in after me and David Cummings started the business, and these 2 gentlemen were CTO, technical co-founders, but the one thing that made them unique, the one thing that made them special, they came to me and they said, Kyle, I can build anything, but I can't sell shit. And I said, that's funny because I can sell anything and I can't build anything. And it was a match made in heaven because we both respected the other side of the table. We both loved what the other side did and had empathy. I had empathy for engineering. They had empathy for sales. And there's nothing more dangerous than a software engineer who loves and respects sales. And so I think it starts in your heart. You got to love this profession. You got to fall in love with it. I'll tell you, it's important because you're not going to get your business off the ground without having people excited and interested in it. So start by cultivating that internal love, and you can do that by reading great books. There's a book called RSVP Selling, The Joshua Story. The reason I recommend this book over books like Spin Selling or Predictable Revenue is because this is a story, it's a fable. It's a coming-of-age tale about a kid who comes in to love sales and become an expert at sales. And what selling is, this profession of selling, it requires core fundamental beliefs in who you are as a person, what your company does, and what your product does. And all sales is the transference of that belief. And so for those out there with 7 folks and no salespeople, you just got to think about what this industry means, what this profession is, fall in love with it, and you'll be a lot better off to hire the right people, to train them, to motivate them, to excite them, and to put them on a path to success.
I love how you're getting almost full 20 Robins on us right now. I love it. Let's go on to the next couple questions here. There's a constant debate about cold calling versus cold email. What's your recommendation on first touch? And kind of going a little bit more into that, not only like what's your recommendation on first touch, but what's your ideal cadence? Maybe the one that you guys are using. Is there like a model? And is there a difference between inbound and outbound?
Yeah, so I'll start with the last question. There absolutely is a difference between inbound and outbound, and there are huge differences between what type of company you are, what you're selling, what your sales cycles are, what type of buyer you have. If I'm selling to heads of construction sites, I'm not going to be social tweeting them, right? If I'm selling to VPs of demand marketing, I'm probably not cold calling them as many times as I would to someone who is not on social and is not on email very frequently. So I think you got to think about who your buyer is first before you tailor your communications, and then you got to start looking at results. You know, we've run tests where we've just emailed, and then we've run tests where we emailed and called, and we've seen significant lift in adding the phone call. Then we've added tests where we've called, emailed, and done social drips, and so each time we've seen increase in function. We've seen tests where we've personalized emails, not personalized emails, and seen lift there. So I think you got to test and run analysis and have the right tools that allow you to do that. That's super important. And then when it comes to inbound versus outbound, a lot of recommendations on inbound are to make a phone call first. A lot of recommendations for outbound are make an email first. Now, I'm not saying that's the right or wrong way. The way we do it is our outbound cadence starts with an email, but does a phone call that afternoon. So they're kind of almost a bit of a double tap. And then our inbound cadence just has less frequency, less types of touches, because we're getting the conversions quicker because they're kind of hand is raised and they're interested. But I'll tell you what, Inbound requires sales development just as much as anything, because even if someone comes to the site, downloads a document, even if they say they want a demo, oftentimes it takes a series of communications with that person actually to actually conduct and set up that appointment. So you know, you need it on both, and you need to measure what's right for you and what's different based on the you know, the unique nature of your business.
Cool. So we have time for one more, and then what we can do, since we have about 20 or 25 more questions, is we can put you to work, Kyle. We can get you answering some of these on Twitter, or maybe even turn them into a blog post with you, just kind of a Q&A with Kyle Porter. So there's a couple things we can do. I know we want to get to everyone's questions, you know, over time. So we'll figure it out, and then we'll get it out there to the audience. But for now, let's take one more question here. Let's see. Where are you finding the best resumes and applications? How are you finding these people that are becoming your top SDRs?
Yeah, that is a great question. The very first and most important one for us is our community. We run events in Atlanta, multiple different events around sales and sales development. In fact, we're hosting the Sales Hacker Conference here in June. We host the American Association of Inside Sales Professionals conferences here. We are located inside the Atlanta Tech Village, which is the largest co-working facility in the southeastern U.S. Now, you may not have the privilege of being able to do all of those things, but you better believe there's something going on in your community. If there's not, you should start it. And so we think getting involved in the community is vital. We also have the fortunate circumstance of having many, many customers of SalesLoft around our Atlanta area. And so we're trying to hire people who know what the product does, and they've been on the using end of our product, and they've been evangelists and passionate about it, and quite frankly, you know, come to us saying, hey, you know, we'd like to work for a company like yours. And so you got to do all the things you possibly can, but the networking piece is by far and away the most important. Just putting a performance profile out on LinkedIn is not going to cut it. You got to use your network. You've got to use the people you know. You got to get involved in the community, and you got to make it happen. I got back from a presentation last week, and it was funny. This speaker, he was talking about bold leadership, and he said, bold leadership is a teenage girl in pursuit of an iPhone. And I immediately got this visualization of a girl who would run through brick walls to get an iPhone, and that's how you got to be when you want to hire your sales development reps. You got to wake up in the morning knowing you're going to find amazing people, and you're not going to stop at anything in order to make it happen. You're going to get out there, and you're going to get in the places where they are, so you can find the right people. I have another friend. I asked him. He was building a journalism department of his company, and I go, how are you going to get those journalists? And he goes, I'm going to get up in their room. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, there's a school down the street with a journalism profession, and they're in that room. I'm just going to get in that room. I'm going to figure out a way to get in that room and talk to them. And that's what he did. And so, you know, it's hustle. You know, recruiting is just like selling. It's working really, really hard to get what you want.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Kyle. That was awesome. Just really great stuff, as usual. This is going to be reposted on Sales Hacker, the recordings and the slides on saleshacker.com tomorrow. Thank you all for attending, and stay tuned for our schedule of upcoming webinars. And again, thanks a lot, Kyle and SalesLoft. Go check out Prospector and Cadence for your sales teams right now, and you know, message Kyle if you have any questions, if he's open to that.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add, I know you could be doing a lot of things today with your time. I know your time is important, and I'm just really appreciative that you would spend this with us to learn about sales development. We've made it valuable for you, and I'm available to answer any questions. You can catch me at kyle@salesloft.com, catch me on Twitter at Porter, and you know, we're here to serve, and we want this industry to be amazing, and know that we're talking with the right folks, and we're counting on you to make this industry something special.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye.